what happens if you have no reference? In collaboration with the Dutch Design Foundation and MU Artspace, designer Simon Dogger, who's blind himself, explores this question. The audience is blindfolded and their experiences are explained by Simon and the scientist.
So you're all stepping into my world, which is without one reference, which is seeing. And just relax, nothing to worry about. Just try to get to know the space around you. Just focus on the left senses, which is hearing, and just start to do and listen to the space around you. This is how I position myself in life, just by listening to the space around me. And just start to enjoy. Maybe you find it at ease, maybe you get a little bit scared, but that is all okay. We're going to start with the first experiment we're going to do. Should I tell what it is, Isolde? What we're going to serve something? Should I tell the people what it is?
No.
Anyway, we have asked somebody who's now making something particular, and we're going to give that to all of you. I hope that it is ready to be served. And I'll tell a little bit about this experiment, probably without explaining too much. But when you lose your vision, you lose one part of information giver. And so then you lose one reference. So if you start to do something, okay, I'll tell you. If you start to eat something, then it could be, you change your perception of what you're eating. And that means that there are multiple processes going on in your head. Maybe Floris can explain a little bit about that.
Right. I think what maybe is what you have experienced, maybe more than all of us, but which is actually true for all of us, is that almost all of our perception is multimodal, as it's called. So it's, even though you think you are seeing things and you're hearing things, and those things don't really, they're separate. In reality, that's not really what happens. So when you're hearing things, it's very much influenced by what you see as well, at least when you can see. And that is, for example, there are funny experiments where you let people listen to the same sound, but you just change what they see, and it can really change what you hear. So it's so in that sense, all these senses can kind of influence each other. And I think that's also what happens when you're eating. So there's already multiple senses involved in eating. There's like smelling and tasting. But I think often what you see also generates expectations about what it is. So whether it looks crunchy,
Colorful or not.
Exactly, yeah. Whether it looks tasty. So I think all those things generate expectations, and they're extremely important for determining what you in the end perceive. I think that's in a sense interesting when you're eating, when you cannot see what you're eating, you've shut off that expectation. So you, in that sense, are much more relying, and you perhaps have sort of a pure experience, if you will. And what we found also in my lab is that when you ask people to imagine a certain stimulus, is that you don't get as much activity as when you're actually looking at the stimulus, but you get activity in your visual system that is very much the same as the activity that you get when you are seeing that very same stimulus. So in that sense, you can activate your visual brain not only by bottom-up input from your eyes, but also by your thoughts. And I think this is something that we don't often realize, but we do that all the time. For example, if I would ask the audience to just come up for themselves with how many windows are there in their apartment or in their house, I don't think there's many people who would know the answer to that just like that. So because you don't store that knowledge.
What I do is then I go through my house and I actually kind of count them in my head.
Exactly. So you're actually looking at the walls, aren't you? And sort of saying, oh yeah, there's a window, there's a window.
Yeah.
So living room, and then I go to the bedroom, and go to, well, there's no room, there's no window in the toilet, but yeah, no, there's no toilet, there's no window. But yeah, I'm gonna go, I travel through my house, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and that is something that we are sort of unconsciously doing a lot of the time, I think, and that really shows that we don't have just all this knowledge stored, but we kind of sort of travel through, we mentally time travel, and look at memories.
Maybe when we say the question like who is at ease, that you click.
Oh yeah. Yes. So everybody can. That's a good idea. Who is at ease with not seeing, and can you click?
And what you get now as well is this really nice positioning, because you hear the people around you.
And can other people click that are actually not so comfortable with it, or annoyed, or think, well, it's, you know? Because you already said that you have your way in seeing the environment in a way that you hear what's where. So there's a reference in sound. And we're now gonna experience it ourselves.
I just one other thing, what you just did with the clicking, I sometimes do that in presentations, and it gives me a feeling of the people around me. But what it really does, and what it did just now, is that it gives me this 3D sound landscape. Because I'm sitting in a circle, and there's people on the left, and there's people on the right, and that creates for me, like I said, a 3D soundscape. And this is also what happens to me just in daily life, walking on the street. Then that 3D soundscape is actually for me of this high auditive aesthetica, so the beauty of sound.
Meanwhile, we're creating a landscape for our audience in audio.